What's going on, everyone? Chris from Pickdawgz.com here with the Wraparound. We're going to be breaking down the NHL action going down on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. If you like this content, make sure you smash that thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. Let me know your NHL picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily $15 best bet, head to Pickdawgz.com. Click the Premium Picks tab at the top of the page. It is a great time to do so because we have a lot of action lined up for the week ahead. We've got Major League Baseball on the board. We've got NBA play-in tournament action starting today, and we've got NHL action, the regular season ending in a couple of days. For me today, I have my MLB pickoff play. I have a 5-pack from the MLB, and I've also got an NBA play of the day as well. So make sure that you jump on board. Remember to use that promo code PICK at checkout for 15% off your purchase. But we're here to talk about a 10-game NHL card from Tuesday's action. I'm going to warn you guys, the next couple days we're going very, very light on the games that we do like here on the Wraparound and just in general because, it's hard to figure out. There's only a few teams left with any sort of motivation, and in these games where there's nothing really to play for, we've seen, favorites come out and beat the underdogs. We've seen the underdogs spring some upsets. We've even seen some underdogs beat out teams that have something to play for. So, we've got to tread very, very lightly, but we'll try to analyze it. We'll try to look at stuff here and try to figure out, who we can make some money with today. Let's not wait any longer. You guys know the drill. You ready? I'm ready. Let's get into it. Our first matchup comes to us from the TD Garden where the Boston Bruins take on the New Jersey Devils. And right now, the New Jersey Devils just look like a team that's kind of backpedaling into the playoffs right now. They've lost 3 straight. They're coming off a 1-0 loss to the New York Islanders. They've scored 4 goals combined over this 3-game losing streak. And all those games were at home. Now, they do have a better record on the road this season, but I still think that the Devils are just focused on their postseason series that's upcoming. Right now, the New Jersey Devils are locked in to the 3 spot in their division. They know they're going to be playing on the road against Carolina to start the playoffs. Like I said, I think that's where their minds are right now. The Boston Bruins, this is the end of the line for the Boston Bruins. I think that being at home for their regular season finale, I think they show some effort here to pay it back to the fans who they put through so much after the trade deadline. With this losing run that they've been on for a fan base that is so used to playoff hockey, that I think that the Boston Bruins, show up and at least compete here and try to send the fans home happy. So I'm going to lean towards the Bruins on the money line in this one. Now we head to this matchup between the Ottawa Senators and the Chicago Blackhawks. And, another matchup where the Blackhawks are facing a team that's already locked into where they're going to be going. The Ottawa Senators are going to be in the wild card, at least it looks like from their standing right now, and play the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team they've owned this season. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Ottawa Senators kind of just coasted in the season finale. On the other side, the Chicago Blackhawks have been one of the worst teams in the NHL this season and one of the worst road teams in the NHL. But that didn't stop them from beating a Montreal team that had a world of motivation to try to, lock up a playoff spot, and doing so on Monday night. And I know it's the second half of a back-to-back here, but this is one of those spots that I was alluding to in the intro where I think it's just kind of dangerous to be trying to lay this kind of price with the Senators. The Blackhawks, I think, are going to try to finish their season on a high note here. I think it's worth taking a shot here on the Blackhawks plus 1.5. Maybe putting a little bit on the money line as well. The Blackhawks have owned this, series in the past. And even this year, the first meeting between these two teams in Chicago was a 4-3 game that needed overtime. So I'm going to take a shot here on the Blackhawks plus 1.5. Maybe put a little bit on Blackhawks money line. Now we head to this matchup between the Buffalo Sabres and the Toronto Maple Leafs from the KeyBank Center. And this one's plain and simple for me. The Leafs, with a win, can lock up their first non-COVID division title in 25 years. And I think that's, big for this team, to win their first division title in that time frame under Craig Berube in his first year. The Buffalo Sabres were playing well, and they've been playing well at home. They've won 7 straight at home, but they didn't look good on their recent road trip, and I think this team is sort of just now at the point where they're playing out the string. I think that the Maple Leafs are one of the few teams on the board with all the motivation to be able to get the job done. So I'm going to take the Maple Leafs on the money line in this one. Now we head to the Wells Fargo Center where the Philadelphia Flyers take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. And, the Blue Jackets have not played well on the road this season. It's really no secret. They're 13-23-4 on the road. However, there are a couple of teams on the board today that have the most level of motivation out of any teams in the NHL. And one of them is the Columbus Blue Jackets, who right now are on the outside looking in the Eastern Conference wildcard race. 4 points back of the Canadiens with 2 games to play. They can still catch Montreal. Montreal lost their final game in regulation, and Columbus won both of their final games. We'll have to see how the tiebreaker would shake out. But right now, the Blue Jackets are hot. They've won 4 in a row. They've been able to take care of business on the road against a tough Washington Capitals team. And the Philadelphia Flyers, yeah, they've been able to win some games themselves as of late, but I think that the motivation is just showing through for the Blue Jackets in this one. I'm going to take the Columbus Blue Jackets on the money line here. Now we head to the UBS Arena where the New York Islanders take on the Washington Capitals. And normally with a funky line like this, I might kind of look at it and be like, okay, well, maybe the book's telling us where we need to be. There's nothing to play for in this game. Maybe Islanders get the job done at home. But nothing about the Islanders' current run of form makes me really want to back this team. Now, the same could be said for the Washington Capitals, who have kind of just looked like a team that's sort of backpedaling into the postseason. Now they've clinched the division. They're not going to be able to get the President's Trophy. They've already got the top spot in the East, so they're going to kind of just sort of coast to the finish line. But I still think that the Washington Capitals are still a competitive team. Do your research and find out closer to puck drop who the starting goalie is going to be for the Washington Capitals, because that is going to be a big thing for this matchup. I'm doing some digging as I'm trying to find out, and for the Capitals, it looks like Charlie Lindgren is going to get the start here. If it was Hunter Shepard, I would probably fade the Capitals here, because Hunter Shepard's been a disaster in his limited time. But Lindgren looks like he's going here. He's still a solid number 2 option for the Capitals. Looks like Elias Sorokin's going to go for the Islanders here. And for me, the Islanders have just been a team that, just been sort of falling apart down the stretch. I think the Capitals are still the better team, even though, they've already clinched everything and locked everything up. So at a coin flip price, with the Capitals team that's been good on the road this season, even with nothing to play for, I'm still going to roll with them here. Give me the Capitals in a lean on the money line. Now we head to the Amalie Arena for a matchup between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. And this is an interesting game because the Panthers only need 1 point to ensure that the Ottawa Senators, cannot catch them from the wild card spot. The Lightning, on the other hand, need a win here and need to win out and hope that the Maple Leafs lose both of their final games in regulation to have any shot at catching the Maple Leafs at the top of the Atlantic Division. That being said, I still think that the Lightning have more motivation in this game. I think the Florida Panthers are kind of resigned to the fact they're probably going to be playing the Lightning in the first round on the road to start things. And I think that the Lightning just want to try to win the division, try to catch the Maple Leafs here, maybe as revenge for the Leafs beating the crap out of the Lightning in the regular season this year. So I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning to win this one in regulation. It's a lean because I'm always worried that the Florida Panthers are just going to decide to show up and compete in this game and maybe give themselves, just a little bit of a kick in the ass, so to speak. But if you look at Florida in their recent, road trip that they were just on, they lost all 4 games and scored a combined 5 goals. So feels a little bit hard to get behind them here, especially with the Lightning on the other side and how the Lightning, still have a world's elite goaltender at Andrei Vasilevsky that probably is going to go here. So give me a lean towards the Lightning in regulation in this one. Now we head to the Enterprise Center for this matchup between the St. Louis Blues and the Utah Hockey Club. And, the St. Louis Blues are a team that, are still trying to make sure that they secure a wild card spot. They have the Calgary Flames breathing down their neck right now. But the thing is, the St. Louis Blues are playing like a team that's kind of just folding down the stretch. The Blues have been one of those teams right now that has been playing really well at home. They've won 5 straight games at home going back to the late part of March. And they've lost 3 straight. All those games were on the road, so now maybe getting back home would help them here. But the Utah Hockey Club are playing really well right now. They've won 6 of their last 8. They've been, competing on the road. They just beat Dallas at home as well. And I think that while some teams like St. Louis have some motivation, there are going to be certain teams like Utah that can kind of come in and try to play spoiler. And the Utah Hockey Club played their best hockey on the road this entire season. I'm going to lean towards Utah here on the money line, or at least take the plus 1.5, because I do think it'll be a competitive game. But I think Utah could get the job done here. Now we head to the XL Energy Center for a matchup between the Minnesota Wild and the Anaheim Ducks. And the Anaheim Ducks have been a team that's been providing value for us all season long in the underdog role, especially on the puck line. They are 26-13 to the puck line on the road. The problem for me here, though, is that the Anaheim Ducks, have started to cool off down the stretch. They've lost 4 of their last 6, and they've lost 3 straight on the road, all by 3 goals or more. The Wild are starting to play better. They have needed overtime in a lot of their recent games, and their last 3 wins have all come in overtime. But I think this is a spot where they get the job done in regulation. Even though, it wouldn't surprise me if they got the job done in OT again. The thing is, the take in the Wild in regulation on the puck line is the only way to get any sort of value with the Wild out of this game, and they've owned the Ducks in head-to-head matchups, so I just don't feel comfortable taking the Ducks here, especially in the Ducks' current form. The Wild only need a point to make sure that they secure a playoff spot, but I think they go for the full 2 here. I'm going to take the Wild in regulation and on the puck line in this one. Now we head to the Scotiabank Saddledome for a matchup between the Calgary Flames and the Vegas Golden Knights. And you want to talk about the other team that I think really has a ton of motivation here. It's the Calgary Flames, who right now are also, just like the Blue Jackets, on the outside looking in. And they have a game in hand on both the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues, who are the 2 teams that they are chasing for that final wild card spot, or one of the 2 wild card spots in the Western Conference. And I think that the Flames can get the job done here. The Vegas Golden Knights, I like this Vegas team, especially when we get to the postseason, but they do their best work at home. That's been the case all season long. There's been times where we've seen the Vegas Golden Knights put up quite a few duds in some of their road games. And I think that the Calgary Flames, who have been taken behind the shed 3-0 in the season series so far, I think that this is where they need one. I think this is where they get their revenge on the Golden Knights. I'm going to take the Calgary Flames on the money line in this one. On Tuesday's card takes us to the Climate Pledge Arena, where the Seattle Kraken take on the Los Angeles Kings, and this is just one of those games probably best left alone, if I'm being honest. But for me, there's no way I can take the Seattle Kraken here. This is a Kraken team that I have faded time and time again this season, and I think it is very telling that the Los Angeles Kings, with nothing of consequence to play for, they're already locked in to their spot in the 2 seed in the Pacific. They can't catch Vegas for the division. So the Los Angeles Kings, being locked in here with nothing to play for, are still favored on the road, where they've been less effective this season, over the Seattle Kraken. The Seattle Kraken are a team that's just sort of struggled to drum up offense in the last couple games, and I think that the Kings are just a much hotter team at this point. And even when they've had very little to play for, they've kept it rolling along. So I'm going to roll with the Los Angeles Kings in this one. I just think the Kings want to keep their momentum going into what looks to be a pretty tough first-round playoff series against the defending Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers. So give me the Kings on the money line in this one to round things out. That's it. That's all the NHL action for Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. If you like this content, make sure you smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. Let me know your NHL picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily $15 best bet, head to Pickdawgz Premium. Remember to use the promo code PICK at checkout for 15% off your purchase. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys soon.